Now you're listening to Fantastic Formosa with Joh Abrams in Taipei. Welcome back to Fantastic Formosa. I'm Joh Abrams, and my returning guest is Paul Huang. And this episode, we're going to talk about American politics and policy. And as many of you know, if you watch television, you're going to know that, it's just gone crazy in America. I guess I can start out by saying that Donald Trump, as you already know, got shot at, and he got nicked in the ear. We call it nicking. And had he moved just a little bit, or the wind was wrong, Donald would be gone. And that we don't know really why the kid did it. But strangely enough, he went on and debated Joe Biden, and Joe just didn't seem to be there. He seemed very weak, and we use the word feeble for old people who are weak. He was feeble. So he resigned as the nominee for president of the next election, but he's still president, even though no one has really seen him recently. We made jokes about it during COVID that he was hiding in his basement during this very strange time during the election last time. So is he hiding in his basement again, where Kamala, I don't know how to pronounce her name. We have Paul Huang here again. Do you know how to pronounce her last name?
Harris?
Kamala Harris, right?
Yeah.
But Kamala can be pronounced, I don't know, a couple of different ways. She has a very unusual history. She's part black and part Indian, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's very strange. Not very strange, but she doesn't talk about her Indian side. She only talks about her African-American side. This might be a political reason behind that. I don't know. But nothing we're going to talk about isn't sensitive. Is sensitive. It's all talked about in the news in America, so it's quite normal. So, Paul, which one would be best for Taiwan's future, economically, politically, militarily? Trump or Harris?
I don't think either would have a meaningful difference to the trajectory where Taiwan is going, with especially regards to China in terms of military balance, in terms of the balance of power, in terms of the risk of war, the probability of a conflict, and the probability of victories or defeat. I don't think either Biden or Harris, either Trump or Harris would there will be much difference at all.
Yeah, but I think Trump, when he was in office, he did call President Tsai when she won the election, right?
No, Tsai called Trump.
Oh, I see. Okay.
To congratulate him.
Right, okay. Well, that was a very unusual thing, wasn't it? First time. Many people saw that as a political symbol, that Trump was being pro-Taiwan, maybe. And then
later we realized that despite these postures or rhetorics about someone being pro-Taiwan or anti-China, I'm a policy analyst. I look at what the policies are, what the actions are, and there is not really that much difference in terms of there's a very strong mismatch between posture, between rhetoric and actual policies.
Right.
In terms of actual policies, Trump, Biden, and possibly Harris, or even second Trump, I don't think there will be there will be that much difference at all.
Now, you define these three ways: rhetoric, and policy, and what was the third one?
The rhetoric is a posture, just what some a leader postures or say that he or she himself
What they
herself is,
say. Okay.
and versus what is actually the reality.
The reality.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you're married, folks, you know what I'm talking about. You know what Paul's talking about. You have your rhetoric, and then you have reality, your posture.
And this is the sooner one realizes this important distinctions, the more the easier and the closer to the truth that one will get as a student of histories or politics of military.
Yes, Americans never really understand the difference between rhetoric and
Neither do Taiwanese
or reality. Yes, we've gotten into all kinds of problems over the years. America has. Okay. So it doesn't make any difference which one wins the election for Taiwan.
I think there's going to be minor variations, but overall the trajectories will remain similar.
Okay.
Neither is going to be able to fix the long-term structural problems within the United States.
All right. Okay.
Neither is going to overturn the advantage to offset or even overturn the advantages that China has and will continue to grow. And neither is going to dedicate to Taiwan some kind of unconditional defense of Taiwan or an output of massive resources and arms, and it's just not going to happen. Physically impossible, and also politically impossible from what we know about both either of them.
Well, we have the problems, particularly providing weapons to Israel and Ukraine, and that has what we call depleted our stocks a little bit. So we don't have as many weapons as we did 5 years ago. And so that's a huge problem. And the situation in the Middle East, what do you think of the Israel-Middle East issue? It's a real disaster for peace.
So from 2010s to from early 2010s to late 2010s, there's been a painful effort by Washington D.C., by the U.S. government, by the D.C. policy elites, as well as both Republican and Democrats, to try to steer United States foreign policy away from these entanglement in the Middle East, which, of course, everyone with a brain, as a strategist, realizes has absolutely zero significance to the United States in terms of its future, economic future, welfare, in terms of the livelihoods, the success or failure of the United States as a great power, or in terms of technologies or anything, industry, Middle East is useless. You can mark my word for it. I'm making that claim. I'm making that claim right now. Middle East, MENA region is completely useless to the United States as a great power, as for the future of the United States.
Right.
And yet this is the one place that Washington D.C. So in the 2010s to late throughout the 2010s, smart people in the U.S. There are definitely smart people there. You know, even so the policies they try painfully to steer away from the Middle East, and to some extent they have done so. Spent quite a number of years, and finally they got out of Afghanistan, they got out of Iraq, and they got out of most of made some of these entanglements, and finally, like we're going to focus on Asia again.
Okay. All right.
And then
we're back.
And then Palestine, Gaza happened.
Yes.
And look at where all these U.S. College students were protesting about. It's about Palestine.
They were, yes.
I was at Harvard, and Harvard, even at their commencement, not just Harvard, but in Columbia, in elsewhere, NYU, even on Tufts, BU, I think, basically every U.S. campus, all these young graduates, young students, protest about Palestine.
Right.
Most of them are pro-Palestine, quote pro-Palestine, and I emphasize this because it's not really pro-Palestine. Most of these people don't know where Palestine even is. Most of these people don't know what they don't speak Arabic, they don't speak
any language,
speak Hebrew, they don't know anything about Israel, they don't know anything about Palestine. These are just but they're just doing what young people are good at, following the trend.
Yes.
Sensing happened in Vietnam, anti-Vietnam War in the 1960s. However, in this case, in today's world, in the U.S., is even more absurd, the degree to which. But the fact that the whole U.S. society got dragged into this completely useless debate and internal conflict about Israel and Palestine, I think it's just telling how off the track the country is in terms of what it should do as a great as a superpower, and the smart thing to do. What it should. There's no argument, no argument to be made about United States getting involved in the Middle East again. If you made the argument, you're dumb. I'm sorry you said that to tell me that the United States has to bet its military, economic, diplomatic power and credibility on Israel and Middle East. That is just phenomenally stupid. I don't know any. I'm not even American, right?
Is it because they don't have TMSC? They don't have semiconductors. They don't have anything to provide.
Not just that. It's just that in terms economically, technologically, and basically everything. You look at all the metrics. Middle East is not important. It's not somewhere that the future of United States will be.
Right. I get it. There's nothing there to provide us.
Zero. Even a lot of people have this conception about we need Middle East for oil. Well, I have very bad news for you because not bad news. I have very good news for you. If you understand anything about oil market and industry, absolutely not. United States does not need Middle East anymore for oil. United States is an oil producing country. Net oil exporter now because of the shale revolution, because of all the changes that have happened.
The fracking.
And it's going to continue. Yeah. And the Middle East is going to decline. United States is going to increase. And even that, Americans don't. Then that's one of the few good things that happened in terms of industrially, economically to the United States in the past 10 years. It's the energy revolution. Now, United States produces more oil than other countries.
So we should focus on Asia because of the technology, the IT, information technology revolution, the semiconductor industry. Everything is here.
I would say not just Asia, but the global south in general. That's where the populations are growing rapidly. It's where the most of the demand side will manifest itself. So not just Asia. Asia is huge. But Southeast Asia is going to. Southeast Asia is going to be growing.
Very quickly.
Faster than East Asia.
Vietnam. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of industry going into there from China, Taiwan,
and global south. So parts of Africa. And also Latin America, they're going to grow much faster than Europe and North America.
Right. Mm-hmm.
These are where the economic the demands will be. That's where the things are going to the geopolitical power are going to be shaped. Be shaped.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to build their highway? Who's going to build their high-speed rail? Who's going to produce their EVs? Who's going to produce manufactured goods for basic necessity? Who's going to provide things to have a market share in their industries and markets? That's where things are going to be important, and so that's where the Middle East is anything but that. It is so completely irrelevant and useless for the future of mankind. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm not saying that people there are not important. I'm saying that the United States as a geopolitical power.
Yes, of course.
The Middle East is the last place. The last place on earth you should focus on.
Well, it's amazing that a small country like Taiwan can produce so many amazing technologies, and yet, other countries in Asia are just, which much smaller populations, of course, like Japan and Korea, still struggle to catch up with Taiwan's semiconductor industry. Oh my gosh! And that's impressive.
They're trying, and they're doing it better than the U.S. For sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So okay, we have the presidential election coming very quickly. So we're looking at two very different perspectives on America. The Harris ticket, if she does run for president, we have a convention, so we're still not sure if there'll be a surprise at the convention. We often, there might be some other players, as we say, that might want to take that away from her. And one possibility is Hillary Clinton. There's a lot of talk that she might sneak in there and attempt to take over that nomination. So what do you think about a third possibility? Is it?
Well, I think from all the reportings and signs that we have seen, Kamala Harris is going to be their nominee, most certainly, because all the Biden's delegates have most of them have pledged to Harris right now.
Well, that could change because they still have to vote at the convention.
But looking at the momentums and everything, I think Harris is almost almost certain right now.
Yeah, it seems to be. This is what we call her honeymoon period, when everyone loves her and they write great articles about her, but honeymoon periods end, and then, as you say, reality comes.
Oh yeah, definitely. The
rhetoric is now, and the reality will be at the national convention, where somebody might step up and say, I could be a better president. And that's possible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Hillary Clinton. Who else? Any other ideas?
I don't think Clinton's going to come back.
She's she's really very bitter about losing to Trump. That really hurt her feelings.
Well, I just don't see any other possibility other than Harris being the nominee.
What about Grant Newsom, California?
In terms of momentums and everything, he just doesn't have it.
California is a wonderful state, falling apart.
Right now, Harris seems to have it in the bag.
In the bag is a common phrase, meaning that you've won.
The nominee, not the presidency, which is
nominee,
very far from certain.
So what do you think about Trump and Harris fighting tooth and nail? Tooth and nail is a phrase we use, which means you're fighting fiercely against each other.
Well, since she became the nominee a few weeks ago, her polls have versus Trump have improved significantly. That's another lesson that presidents, because just a few weeks ago, everyone's assumed that if Biden continue, he's going to lose to Trump badly. If he drop out, anyone who replace him, the damage to the Democrats will be so severe and will not be able to recover. right? But so this is another lesson here that until there's a Taiwan saying that from the basketball game, the game is not over until the second half of ninth inning. So this is another lesson. Even if the polls are so different, the differences in the poll are so big, and so the gap, when everything seems certain, it's actually not, because we still have time to go. And now Harris is before Biden dropped out, he was lagging Trump by as much as 10% in some states. From last time I checked, in Arizona and Georgia, and now Harris is within 1% or even 2%, with catching up to Trump. And so of course she's new. She's that a lot of that has to do with the honeymoon period. She become nominee, and then everyone, and then that momentum, which will definitely subside in the next couple of weeks, a month or two. But of course, the fact that she's managed to recover this much from Biden means that the race is becoming competitive again, and we are not certain who. At this point, there's just no assessment can be made who's going to win.
So there's a lot of question marks, though, about Biden's his ability to he's not there.
Oh yeah, I think the fact from his speeches, from his debate performance, the changes in his that visible to the public in the last year and two,
falling down all the time, and
people that
getting lost on stage.
I think it's very clear there is some sort of some, and this is from an opinion I got from a surgeon,
brain surgeon,
the friend who made this assessment, that there is definitely some sort of cognitive disease that affecting Biden. Is it very serious? Probably not. Is it having an effect right now? Definitely. Is it going to degrade over time?
Yes,
almost certainly.
Oh yeah,
because that's where most of these diseases will progress.
So we usually call this dementia in America, the failure to as you get old remember. The wonder, everyone's wondering now that he's clearly it's official that he has some sort of dementia. How long has he had it, and who has been running the White House?
I think the Democrats, the mainstream media and a lot of people who support him, they don't want to talk about this because he would raise a lot of uncomfortable questions.
Yes,
because if the president is incapacitated, then he had, by constitution, he has to be replaced. But then is dementia and not to be qualified to be considered incapacitated,
right?
And that's another debate.
Well, how long has he not been able to make decisions that make sense?
There's an interesting data that you can look at. So you pull off the Wikipedia page of Biden's cabinet, and you see the personnel changes. There has been none in the last 3.5 years. There was save for 1 minute for one secretary of something that I can't remember right now. But all the other secretaries, they have not been changed since they were appointed by Biden.
So they're just running their area.
So, and this is very strange, very, very strange across all the past U.S. presidents. So Trump had so many personnel changes in his 4 years.
Right.
So it almost looked like a disaster because this guy, some people didn't even last a few weeks and then will change and things like that. So, but even previous president, Obama or Bush Jr. or Clinton, they were changes even just after a year or two. This person goes and this person comes up, and But Biden, there was no changes,
Mm.
save for there's one secretary,
Mm.
and that tells you. So and you look at that, and a very scary conclusion comes out, which is the top guy is falling asleep behind the wheel. So
Yes.
so he has. So because once he appointed these secretary in their places, they cannot be removed. Once they are confirmed by Senate, they cannot be removed. And so they remain in their place the last 3.5 years.
Right.
This is your most the single most important sign that there's something wrong with this president.
Well, they're being given more power than normal, perhaps. That's why they're staying in office. Normally, a presidential appointee only stays about 6 months a year. Then they go into private business, a board of director. They make incredible amounts of money. So the door is just like a.
So the hypothesis here is, at some point in the last 3.5 years, Biden kind of lost it. He's lost that ability to make independent judgment about or take initiative about his own government. And so all these secretaries stay in their places. They find comfort in their balance between this person and that. They just continue.
Now, they always, as commander-in-chief of the armed forces, president has the authority to launch nuclear weapons, of course, in retaliation for a nuclear attack. And, of course, the jokes that were made was he would call the wrong number, he would press the wrong button, he would, when he was ordering a sandwich, he would hit the red button and the world would go to war. But that's an old joke for many presidents, actually. But yeah, you have to wonder who's running the country and who's making decisions that make the world, America, a better place for everybody. And and the craziness regarding his wife, who seemed to be in charge. She seemed to be running things behind the curtain. She was very domineering, we call it, very controlling.
I can believe that.
Yeah. Sort of reminded me of Hillary Clinton a little bit. Very powerful female behind the president. But Hillary was a little bit more aggressive, I think, when she was when she was in the White House. She actually slapped her husband in front of people. To slap a president in front of your Secret Service, for good reason, though. He had done something very bad. So, yeah, all right. So you're thinking that Kamala Harris is going to be president, possibly, or Trump returns. And what do you think about Trump's vice presidential choice? J.D. Vance, who grew up very poor, and then he went to Harvard, I think. But he also joined the Marine Corps and served in Iraq.
Yes,
that's a very interesting combination for a leader.
So in the last few weeks after he was chosen, there is a wave of new attacks on him. Criticism of him. And I read his book. He wrote this one book that made him famous called Hillbilly Elegy. Published a few years ago.
Yeah, I read it too.
And it's an interesting book. And however, that of course, when I read it, I always saw there's something missing. And now that the people, there is a renewed focus on him, and also this book as well, and a review of the things that people have found so far. I think I have to say it was just the book was factually flawed And that tells a lot about J.D. Vance as a character, and also where he is headed. He is just not a facts guy. He is not someone who's heavy on this being truthful or not.
I don't know if he wrote it or he had a ghostwriter.
I think he wrote it. But the so a summary of this book is it was published during Trump's after Trump won. There was a lot of soul searching among the American liberals, Democrats, why Trump was managed to win, especially in the working class populations in the Midwest, in
America.
And J.D. Vance's book became an instant success because he was talking. He didn't write about Trump or anything, but he wrote about the dysfunctions in what he portrayed as the working poor, or some of them not even working, just Appalachians, these poor white communities. But of course, J.D. Vance blamed it on education and culture, most especially culture. He said it's family that's doomed these people to fail. That they didn't give it enough focus on education, they didn't focus enough on hard work and everything. So that's basically the thesis of his book. He was managed. He managed. So he claimed that he managed to rise from this environment because he was hardworking, and why he was hardworking was because his grandma was very hard on him.
Sure.
As give him a very good upbringing, and so he was managed to study hard and then find a good job, and then got into Yale college, and then Yale, and then
Marine Corps,
and then now, however, a lot of retrospect reflections, a lot of critical review into the facts behind have exposed that this thesis is fundamentally wrong.
What is family is not important, or that what education is not important? What
that the reason that people around him, the kind of people around him were just not so dysfunctional. Exactly because there was no economic opportunity, there was no good public policies, there was no good education, there was no good infrastructure for them to succeed. So the culture he saw, the people were around him were like this. Maybe because he saw people's attitude was the problem. But it was actually not. People's attitude were such because they were just in an environment that's so desperate. That's more the truth. So the truth is that he was fortunate, but the others were not fortunate, not because they didn't try, but because the environment was just so averse to them.
Well, I grew up in that kind of environment, so I sort of agreed with a lot that he said. I grew up in rural Midwest, and I saw a lot of that same stuff. So maybe he was too hard on his folks. This is before the internet, of course. And we used to make fun of the Appalachian communities because they were dumb and they were dangerous, and that was one reason that we never really wanted to really mingle.
And also, I think and also another thing is he focused on his book spent a lot about the Appalachians, but he actually grew up in Ohio. The part is not really
Eastern Ohio. Yes. Yeah, it's still part of that
so
world. Trust me.
the people that really elected Trump were not the Appalachians.
Oh, they were not.
They were. They have
Democrats.
mostly been red states to begin with.
Oh, okay. All right.
Is the working blue collar people in elsewhere in the Midwest? It's not really Appalachian, and it's a very important distinction. They have been turned disillusional or disenfranchised or economically experience economic hardship because of the industrialization of the United States.
Sure.
That's very different from the Appalachian story. The people that elected Trump in 2016 were mostly these kind of people.
Right.
The blue collar workers.
Sure.
The working poor. So those that sort of the resentment and the toward the status quo and the industrialization of the U.S. was a fundamental cause,
of course,
of Trump's victory in 2016.
Oh, guaranteed. The Appalachian area, if you ever get a chance to go there, folks, beautiful. Oh my God! But it is poor, except for coal mining, and it is it has a reputation for violence. If you look at the Appalachian history, for some reason, it goes back to Scotland in England. And the Scottish, for some reason, dominated that area, mountainous terrain area. You can't do much with it. It's hard to farm. It's like the Central Mountains here in Taiwan. You just can't do anything with it. It's a hard place to live. But I drove through there several times, and I just thought, man, this is an amazing place. Did you ever travel through those?
Oh, no, none.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right. It's sort of like the Rocky Mountains, but it's on the East Coast, and it's not as high as the Rockies, but a lot of greenery, rivers, a lot of camping, for example.
In terms of populations, though, they were not really the people that made a difference in Trump's.
In the Trump thing, agreed. I think J.D. Vance as a choice he's an outlier. People use this word in America now. They use the word outlier, and that's someone who comes from nothing to become impressively, And J.D. Vance came from a very poor background, joined the Marine Corps, ended up at Harvard University, and
Yale.
Was it Yale?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't want to muddy your Harvard experience.
No.
If you don't know about this, Yale University and Harvard University are like enemies. They call each other names, So he's an outlier. So you'll hear that.
So the book, so the fact that he misses he sees us in the book was wrong, and also he's many facts that he claimed to know are wrong. So I think it's fair to say that he is someone, and this is not just Democrats or critics of him saying. There's also some Republicans that he is someone who was an opportunist, who take liberty with truth to promote his own career and profile. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Most politicians are like that, but he's very good at it. He is not, and also he's not a true believer. The true believer is someone who's I'm a Reaganite conservative, so I subscribe X and Y and Z, never change. And he's not someone like that. He's very flexible, and he sticks to whoever that get him power and attention.
Well, that's Washington. That's what you see.
And
in Washington
so he is very So he is very similar to Trump on this. But this is also where Trump basically picked a mirror image of himself as the VP, and the disadvantage with this is obvious that J.D. Vance is not bringing anything in he doesn't already have.
That's true too, except that J.D. Vance grew up poor and Trump did not. His father was a multi-millionaire and different worldview. Though Trump did get in trouble as a teenager, and he had to spend 6 years in a high school military school. So kind of a rough academy.
So since he's chosen a few weeks ago, many have commentaries analysis have been made, but I think my general impression is most are saying that he is a negative carry for Trump. That this choice really was not the best one. Probably not the worst one, but also it doesn't really add to what Trump has. We will know Kamala Harris' BP pick in the next couple of hours, I think.
By the time many folks hear this broadcast, they'll know, because this probably won't be for a little while, probably after the Democratic convention. But if you folks know, you will know, I'm sorry, you can understand how we feel at this particular time in history. But I still think Hillary Clinton might challenge her on the nomination as vice president or president.
If there's a fight at the conventions like that, then Democrats are pretty much done.
Oh yeah.
Even if Harris eventually won, if say Clinton, I don't think Clinton will even be that surprise. It will be somebody else. But even if there is a surprise, which I think it's not likely. If that surprise turn out to be the nominee, Democrats are pretty much done. That's just that the damages he caused will be unrecoverable at that point.
Okay.
And even if Harris prevail, the damages are done, and her honeymoon effect wearing off, and come September, everything will go to everything will go into Trump's favor again.
We'll see. Our listeners will already know by the time they hear this, but we don't have a time machine. And I wish we did, and that would be great fun. But if you folks are very confused about American politics, I hope that we explained a lot to you, as much as we can possibly explain without confusing you any more than possible. How soon will you go to Japan, Paul? What's the plan?
Later this year.
Later this year could be, but this year.
Yes, yeah.
So you got a few months left.
I still consider Taiwan to be my base.
Of course,
because my work is focused on the research and study of Taiwan.
Right. Well, yeah, you are my go-to person when I have a question. So I always appreciate that. Well, this is another end. Fantastic Formosa. I'm Joh Abrams, and thanks a lot, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Yeah.